Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is pushing the West to send fighter aircraft to Ukraine. In London, Zelensky once again made a case for the delivery of combat jets. The United Kingdom has promised to train Ukrainian pilots. Zelensky, dressed in his usual green fatigues, received waves of applause as he addressed the British Parliament. On his second overseas trip since the war began last year, the Ukrainian president appealed for wings of freedom.
When the full-scale invasion began, I trust this symbol will help us for our next coalition of the plains, and I appeal to you and the world with simple and yet most important words: combat aircrafts for Ukraine, wings for freedom.
The UK has already trained 10,000 Ukrainian troops to battle readiness over the past 6 months. The country will train a further 20,000 Ukrainian troops this year. The UK says new training will ensure pilots are able to fly sophisticated NATO standard fighter jets in the future. Backing Ukraine, the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said the country has increased and accelerated its military support for Ukraine. Western countries have so far ruled out sending jets. Last week, Sunak said that sending the UK's Typhoon and F-35 fighter jets to Kiev would require months, if not years, of training. British Defence Secretary Ben Wallace has also warned that supplying fighter jets to Ukraine would not be a magic wand in this war. The US has so far rejected any deliveries of F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. However, other NATO countries, including Poland, have shown themselves to be more open to the idea. Britain also announced a fresh round of sanctions targeting organizations relied on by the Russian military. But Putin remains defiant. Moscow says Russian forces are advancing towards Bakhmut and Vuhledar in Donetsk, now the flashpoint of the war in Ukraine. Updated maps of Russia have gone on sale in Moscow. Bookstores that include 4 annexed Ukrainian regions. Putin regularly refers to annexed Ukrainian territories as Russia's historical lands. 24th February will mark 1 year since Russia invaded Ukraine. Ukraine fears Russia is preparing to mount a new brutal offensive in the spring or summer. Russia and Belarus have beefed up their joint military grouping with weapons, soldiers and specialized equipment. Since the war began, the West has shifted its stance on which weapons it is ready to provide to Ukraine's military. After tanks and long-range missiles, will fighter jets be the next Ukrainian demand to be fulfilled by the West? For more on this story, let's now take a look at this report filed by our correspondent Alex Izat in London.
President Zelensky concluded his speech to Parliament by asking for extra planes to help fight what he calls the evil of the world. Now, whether or not that may have some consequences using those terms when it seems to be a fight against good versus evil for him and the Ukrainian people from Russia and Putin, well, we will just have to see. Now, the whole of Westminster Hall was packed with peers and members as well who were really ready to listen to what Zelensky had to say. In fact, they seemed amazingly enamoured. Zelensky called out Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak both by saying that they'd helped him and his people so much through the last dark times, and both seemed incredibly pleased and happy by that. And Zelensky also mentioned their king and the Prince and Princess of Wales, and also the UK people. He talked a couple of stories about his last time that he was here and how he does feel that the whole of the UK has been behind him. Going forward, he didn't quite go into details really about what the people on the ground were feeling and how they were getting that help that a lot of the, not just UK, but a lot of the countries and the support has been for them.